like, no. We'll let you hang out in here. Losing your mind. I can't take it anymore. Hey, Trav.
We never call you Trav.
Does he go by Trav like with other people? He's always Travis, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if anyone were gonna call him Travis, it would be me, but I'd rather call him Travis. So I just say, hey, honey, babe, or like, hi. Like when Brayden says my name, and I'm like, oh, whoa, stuff just got for real. Why did you say my name? All right, what are you doing?
When I hear my name, it usually means that the kids did something more. That's
Thank
it. He doesn't even refer to me by name when he talks to other people. He says my wife. Like even when he talks to his parents, he'll say my wife.
My friend. That's where that whole thing came from, because we would be there and she'd be like, my husband, and we're like, your husband. Who would that be? His name's Dan. Like, we know him. He's our friend too. You know, like so that's funny that he does that too. She does that.
I've decided he's just subconsciously a territorial king.
My baby keeps stealing that. Hope not.
So, are you joining us for our video, or?
All right, ready? And go. Hey guys, welcome back. You probably don't remember us because we've been gone for a very long time.
Yeah, it's been years and years and years.
Yep.
Or 3 weeks.
Basically the same thing. I'm Heidi from the newly rebranded Heavenly Minded Homeschool, and Lexi from In His Season blog. And this is Mary More Than Martha. So I'm assuming you actually probably do know who we are and what this is, but we like to, every single Saturday, put out a video where we are talking about just life things, mom things, wife things, everything from a biblical perspective in what we're dealing with in a very raw and unfiltered way as we sit here in my house with like half a dozen,
More than half a dozen.
I don't know why I said half a dozen, like a dozen kids running around, and animals and husbands and my brothers. Yeah, honestly. So,
well, in your
real
little vacuum thing, like.
The vacuum is not running right now, so don't worry, it can't do anything
I
bad.
think that thing interrupts our filming just as much as the children do.
Oh, hey, she found
What does she have?
That was in like my tool stuff.
It was in Judy's and Lily's room.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm gonna confiscate that. Thank you.
Don't
Okay.
touch that.
No touch.
So we thought we would sit down today and just kind of talk about, we've had a lot of craziness going on. You might have noticed that with Heavenly Homeschool and A&P Home Church and all of that, they've had a lot of changes and a lot of things that they've been doing. They kind of disappeared for a hot minute. You know, just with stuff that they had going on with them. And I personally actually have not put out a blog in a little over a month.
Yeah.
Probably 6 weeks because of just everything that was going on. And so we thought, well, why don't we just sit down and talk a little bit about that? Because I think as women, we have a hard time admitting when we need to step away.
Yeah.
That's why I try really hard to be the person that's like, hey, do we need to do that? Because I typically, it's only been recently that I've been willing to step out and say, you know what? I've got this going on at my home and I need to get my home. I used to always just go, well, I've got this commitment and I got to keep the commitment, but at the detriment of my life at home and my first priority, which is raising the kids and keeping our house not chaotic and doing all that. And I find that that's a really common thing among women. So I know, like, a couple weeks ago before I went to Alabama, I texted you with some of your stuff and was like, well, because at first you did. You were like, yeah, whatever you want to do. And then I just kind of got this feeling and I was like, do you want to just be insular for a minute and see what's going on? He loves me.
Because, yes, I am very much get it done, stay busy, keep working, and, well, and like you had said, that is going through the grief process still
Yes.
with losing my aunt, and I will just keep working because then I like busy. I mean, you came when I was having my meltdown and repainted this room and did other things, but that's how I deal with things. And so when all of this just kept getting crazier and crazier and crazier, you texted me because I was like, no, we still got to do all this. We have all these things, you know, do. And that's when you're like, do you guys just need some time?
Yeah.
Do we need to just take this off, let your family just hunker down, work through what you need to work through? And your saying that was like, yes, that's exactly what we need.
Like there have been one or two times, you know, sometimes I come up here to record and things have happened and we're just like, we don't want to force anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm putting things out there hoping to bless people when I'm not even sure what I feel like I should talk about or what I feel like I should do. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, I don't ever want to be that person that's like, well, we got to keep the viewers happy and I want to keep them coming.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. It's not about, we want to be a blessing.
Yep.
We are equally blessed by the feedback that we get from you and just, it's so nice to have other women that it feels like we're not all alone in this crazy little
it's a fellowship of it. That's right.
That's right.
You tell them what's that.
You know, so we kind of made the commitment when we started this that we wanted to talk about things that meant something. And I don't want to just be like, well, here's what's on this list. What do you think we can force out today? Mm-hmm. So there have actually been a couple of times where I've come up twice.
Yeah.
You know, where it was just like, it's not happening today.
We're just not.
The kids are on fire, or we're on fire, or, you know, whatever it is going on. So for me, I had, you know, the last 6 weeks for me have been kind of insane. I had some medical
completely insane.
Yeah, some medical stuff going on and trying to figure out what it was and what was happening, and it was messing with me, and I was just kind of all over the place. And a lot of you know, like I kind of struggle with depression and things like that. As far as I don't get sad really, but I get really fatigued. And just the ability to kind of get everything together. So some of the days, and it's not often anymore, but there have been days where I'm so fatigued that it is everything I can do to make sure that my children are completely taken care of the way that they need to be. And sometimes that's just, I'm going to sit on the couch with you guys and we're going to have a pajama day and, you know, eat whatever is available to eat.
That's what we're doing today.
And so with the stuff that was going on, it was clearly more than that. There was just a lot of, and one of these days, I think there's a podcast that we want to do as two couples sitting down. And I think I'm going to sit down and really kind of go over what it is exactly that happened and what went on. But it's like I was texting Heidi every day and like, here's like the 578th thing that's wrong with me right now. And it was nuts. It was insane. There was a lot of confirmation from a lot of people of, hey, something's off. And so I finally am now, over the last week, feel like I'm leveling out. I feel like I'm
Well, that's why I felt so bad, like in those last texts when you were going to the doctors again, and you're like, well, everyone else said this. What do you think? And I'm like, the exact opposite. Sorry, that's not, I did
talk to one other person and was like, help. She's probably, out of everybody that I know, she's the most like me. She's the one, so you're the one I go to when I want someone to be like, okay, but this.
Yeah.
Like, when you're like, okay, hold on, let's take a step back.
Are we wearing the same shoes?
We're
wearing the same shoes.
We are wearing the same shoes.
Sorry, I'm just looking down like, that's not my shoe, that's my shoe.
You know, Walmart's awesome. Or cheap. But, you know, I called my one friend and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, bring me the pieces.
You know, I explained to her what was going on. She's the one that's the most likely, she's going to try and fix it, to be on my side or react the way I normally would. But she's also the one that if I am being completely nuts about it, she would react in the way that I should be reacting. So it's a weird, you know, so I explained to her, and even she was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is, but she kind of said, if I were in your shoes, I would. And she kind of agreed with what you and I had originally said. And then, because even I ran everything by my husband to make that clear. And he was kind of like, whatever's best for you. Like, he wanted to make sure that I was healthy and sane.
But your body is very sensitive.
Yeah. So, fortunately, the doctors were able to kind of let me know that I wasn't going crazy, that everything I was going through was actually kind of to be expected. And we made some changes, and it's been awesome. And I feel like in that conversation, God made things very clear, because as far as courses of action to take, there was one thing I was adamant about. Mm-hmm. And it was that one thing that was up in the air that kind of made the decision of everything up in the air. And when that one thing was very clearly discussed and talked about, and it was not the answer I was looking for, it was not the answer I wanted, but it also gave me a very definitive answer, and there was no wishy-washy anything. Which is nice for your sanity when you're like, okay, nope. And I will be on the lookout over the next couple of weeks for, you guys will know what the podcast is when it's released, but there's some really interesting things I found out about what I was going through and what I was experiencing, and it's kind of weird how everything is interconnected. Our bodies are so cool. The way that God made everything to combine and work together. Which is what blows my mind to see the secular science view of things, because the more you look at stuff, even like all the stuff we're going through with Brandon's doctors with him, and you're just like, it's just so cool. So that's where I've been for 6 weeks. Also, I took my kids down to see my parents in Alabama, so we were gone, over a weekend, and had some other stuff. I didn't realize how much our kids message each other. Yeah, I didn't either. Like, they're texting, but it's through like Messenger. I was getting play-by-play of like your every move. Are you serious? Well, you guys were gone. They kept, no, they're doing this. No, she just messaged me. And I'm like, how do you guys do anything? I was like, how do you guys know these things? Like, what are you doing? Oh yeah, we had like the full play-by-play. Like, our kids are like, it's so funny. I think the most exciting thing I did was make a cake. Like, I dumped a can of pineapple into a box of angel food cake, and then you bake it, and it becomes all fluffy and foamy, like without even using a mixer. It's really cool. It only costs like $3. Try it. That was like the coolest thing we did. And my mom rented a video every night that we were there. But see, you have no idea. There was like a whole list of excitement that you missed out on. I have to go back and read her messages. Because my children were running through the house daily. Guess what they're doing now? Yeah, so I finally feel like, and I kind of feel like maybe it's interesting to me that our families kind of both went through scenarios where time was required. Yeah. At the same time. So I'm kind of wondering if it wasn't God's way of just saying, you know what, let's just all take a step back for a minute. And there was a lot going on behind the scenes. Yeah. We didn't forget about anything. I have like 4 blogs I'm ready to kind of sit down and start, typing out and getting all that together. I've been totally silent on social media as far as In His Season blog goes. And that was the other thing is that's when I knew something was up, because she went, you guys know what I'm talking about, because I know you follow her, when there were like 4 days of nothing, and I was like, something is wrong. Yeah. And it wasn't, we had our group chat, and Brandon he and I antagonize each other on the thing. But the thing is I would notice, like, you would check it once or twice a day, but you were not, usually you like give as good as you get, and we usually team up against Brandon because that's our favorite pastime, and I have since added my husband. My husband has since been added, and it's awesome. It is absolutely hilarious, because he gets just as frustrated as Brandon about some of these things, so he'll be sending all these links. So your activity in that, I could understand a step away from social media, but then your lack of response. Yeah. And that's where I was like, something's wrong. Like I texted her and was like, what's wrong with you? So, it was just, there was a lot going on. You've had, with your aunt and another family member, I don't know if you've talked about that, but you've had all that going on, and God trying to figure out where he's calling your ministry, kind of feeling like you were tugged in a million different places, and
it's weird how things work. You know what I mean? Like, we go through stuff, and when you're in the midst of it, you're just like, oh my gosh. And I know we talked a little bit about it on the depression post,
Right.
the podcast that we did about depression. And I had postpartum depression after having our third kiddo, Virginia. And I was never one who understood depression. And then Brandon even commented, he said, no, everybody, like he said, he's like, I think everybody has it to some degree. It's just, you can tell how different people process it.
Right.
I process things in a very different way. To me, I never saw that as depression. That was just how I deal with things. But since, you know, after dealing with the postpartum and kind of having that, like, oh my gosh, this is what you guys deal with, like, blew my mind, you know, because I very much would side more with the person who's like, depression isn't real, get over yourself, like, come on. Like, that would be my, like, honest, like, I don't get it. So it was interesting to see with all the things going on, being busy, just all of the stuff, still trying to get through the grief process with my aunt, and all of these different things just coming. It was funny because I was feeling very similar, not the same, but very similar to how I felt when it was Brandon and my friend that were like, I think you need to go see the doctor, you know, the postpartum stuff. And so when all of that was going on, and then when you text me, you know, that and I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, I don't think I feel well. And I'm trying to power through it in like the Heidi way that I know to deal with things, and it's not working.
Right.
I think it's making it worse.
You get more tired. You get more confused.
Yeah.
For me, depression, and I don't remember that podcast, we packed so much into it. I don't know how much I was able to really kind of delve into my personal, I know I talked about being extremely fatigued. The other thing that happens to me, women in general, we tend to think about multiple things at a time. When I haven't had this in a long time. I've really started leveling out. I'm not medicated anymore. But when I was unmedicated and I was still kind of going through postpartum stuff and all this stuff, I would have like 1,000 thoughts going through my head, but I could not separate any one thing. And I felt like I was drowning because I had a million things on my plate and no way of using a thought process to get from A to B. So I don't know if that's what you were going through, but it's like, for me, it can increase confusion for me because I'll just be like, what was I doing? What was I? And normally I'm like, just the one way we're similar, we both like lists.
Yes.
When we both are like, it's time to get things done. It might take me longer to hit a point where it's time to get things done. But I will get into these modes where I'm like, all right, people, let's go.
Everything.
And it gets done fast.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that was just, you know, and I love, this whole platform to serve on was never anything that we thought we were going to do.
No. You thought you were just going to put a couple lesson plans online, maybe update them every year.
That I figured nobody would probably even use, but then at least I would have them
to
use for my kids.
I remember that conversation with you.
Together.
You were like, so I did a thing. And you're just like, I'm just opening this thing. It's not really costing anything, so why not? I'll just have it. I'm going to try it out. So I remember. And then look at
enter
what
my
it
full-time
is.
life. You know, and so that's where I, you know, kind of had this where I was like, man, I don't feel well. I feel like and we were talking about some serious things, so then we're having like legit serious spiritual warfare, you know, all of these things going on. And then of course your husband is also hurting, Brandon. So for you, it sucks when you're both down at the same time because you are very much caretaker. Yeah.
You caretake in a different way. You guys, this is a side note. She's probably going to kill me. But one of her brother's favorite memes to tag her in, there's this one of a woman who's like bent over a toilet vomiting, and someone's got a broom, and they're patting the woman on the back, and the meme says, there. And her brother has tagged her multiple times in this and been like, Heidi.
I'm the person holding the broom.
But it's not because you don't care and that you're not very compassionate. You are actually one of the most sensitive people, the most compassionate, but you're the one that's like, what's the list of things I can do?
Sure.
So you're the one that's like, I will schedule 10,000 missions trips. I will pack up my life and go anywhere. Anybody can come into my home. I will give them everything they have, the shirt off my back, whatever. But when someone is hurting in such a way that all you can do is wait.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, I gotta do something. What do I do? You want to do the research. You want to get the things. You want to try the new thing. Let me put this herb in you. Let's take you to this doctor. And you will schedule it to the point of, well, we're going to keep doing something until it goes away.
We will fix this.
And so what's interesting to me is that the situation, your family has been increasingly under spiritual attack. Mm-hmm. And a big part of that attack comes through breathing. Yeah. And through just different pain and things. You guys, he's been in pain for years, but it has been it's like all of that time it's been condensed and shoved at him at one time. Yeah. And so I can only imagine for you to be going through all of your stuff where you're like, I feel off, I don't feel good. You've got all this stuff going on, but then you have a husband who's down and out. Yeah. And you can't make it better. Yeah. And you're a fixer. That's what you do. You fix. And if you can't fix, you're like, well, go over there. Okay, shouldn't do that to him.
I don't have to tell him to go over there. He just knows.
I would say that's not necessarily your mentality towards your kids or your husband or something like that. Not to people. But if there's a problem, you're a fixer. And if it's a normal problem and it can't be fixed, you're like, well, it's got to go over there, go away, because I've got a million other things over here.
Go fix something.
So I can only imagine for you to feel like it's coming at every angle. Yeah. I mean, did you feel like you couldn't breathe?
Yeah, I really...
We haven't really gotten it. This is my first time. Yeah. Literally, we talked on the phone yesterday.
For a minute.
For a couple minutes, for the first time in weeks. We've texted here and there, but I haven't really gotten it. So I guess we're unboxing it here. You're welcome.
Quite literally our catch-up. No, I can feel, just not feeling good and just being, sad or upset or different things. And then I feel like I have all these things I should be doing. Mm-hmm. Because look at these amazing people that are connecting with us. Mm-hmm. We poured out our hearts where we were frustrated. What are we doing? Does it matter? Should we do this? Where should we go? Does anybody hear what we're trying to say? Because we got flooded with people that clearly were not hearing what we were trying to say.
No.
I don't know why, but it was all of a sudden we got flooded with all this and we're like, who cares? That's not what we're here for. That's not what we're doing. We just got flooded with it. And we got flooded with some possible, business inquiries with this, where it would be a down the road, you can make some serious cash flying all over the country doing this and that, blah, blah, whatever. And so on one hand, when they were sitting there hoping money shows up so the electricity doesn't get cut off, we're like, well, I would like to be able to keep the electricity on. Yeah. So we're sitting there looking at it, but then we're like, what are we doing? That's not what we're doing. No, and so, and it was but at the same time we got flooded with all this other stuff. I'm like, does anybody understand what we're trying to do here? Mm-hmm. It's not about this. It's about Jesus. Do we see this? We have to, this is serious. So it was everything kind of all came at once. And that's where I said, literally, to the stupidest level, the dishwasher broke. Mm-hmm. The dryer started acting wonky. Brandon's computer went down right when he was getting ready to start working on this huge thing. Then the computer we record on it. I mean, it was just every little thing where we were just and then the toilet wouldn't flush. Mm-hmm. But nothing is wrong with it. And we were just I can't. Brandon was so sick. He literally was just puking nonstop. Yeah. Because the pain was so intense. He couldn't, and it was just one of those
well, and so he
really right now?
More than me, because I'm a really bad friend, he listens to everything you put out.
Yeah.
And I'm he plays it in my living room, and for me it's really weird.
Yeah.
It is really weird that when I was laying in bed this morning, I hear yours and Brandon's voices coming out of my TV.
So weird.
You know, for anybody out there who's like, this is how they've always known you and always followed you, it's probably a thing, and I get it for like the big names that we listen to, like sermons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it's really weird for me. It's weird for me to be doing this, and it's really weird for me to like. At least my voice wasn't. He knows better. I hadn't had coffee yet. He knows better. At least my voice wasn't coming out of there. But it is. Because to me, you guys are who you are. Sure. And while I think it's really awesome that you are being given these opportunities and being given this responsibility, and that we are able to help shoulder that wherever we can, we're very blessed to be those people for you guys and to be able to kind of go through it and see it. But it's weird. Yeah. It's just weird. Like, one of these days I'm just going to drive up without telling you, and I'm just going to start playing something so that you understand. Because usually you're the one pushing play.
I am. Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if you would feel differently if all of a sudden...
Okay, sometimes my kids
will watch it.
Will watch our YouTube videos, and I'll be doing something and walk through, and I'm like, what, you guys, like, we did this. What are you watching?
Oh, so that's what I was getting at. So he listens to everything, but he's the one that actually was like, hey, it's when I was in Alabama, and every time I picked up my phone, there were like 30 messages on our group chat. Yeah. Because he's like, hey, is everything all right? And I'm like, I didn't even know anything was wrong because I'd been out of town. And because you guys hadn't been posting every day.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, I don't know. I wish I could be the one that's like, I listen to every Bible study you guys do.
She doesn't.
I don't, you guys. I'm a terrible friend. But again, the fault is within me. Okay, it's really within me, but part of it is because, hey, I'm sorry, my daughter is adorable and intrusive.
My baby's eating an old apple. It's good.
So no, but for me, we have so many conversations, we talk about so many things, that part of it is, and it's the same reason I have a hard time reading things that my husband's written. I can't listen objectively because I already know I agree.
My brother, we asked that because he was like, I guess my mom or something asked him if he watches our stuff, and he was like, I've lived with him for so long, I know what every conversation, like I can just see the title and be like, no, he's like, I'll listen sometimes and be like, yep, knew what that was.
Yeah, like Travis, my Travis, he'll listen and be like, well, they said, you know, this, and this, and I'm like, none of it is surprising to me. Yeah. So I think maybe that's part of it. It's not that I'm not supportive. I do listen. We listen back to most of our podcasts, and most of your podcasts I'll listen to. Yeah. Because sometimes you guys have heard things that I haven't been made aware of yet, or
that's true. Yeah.
So we do like to be up to speed before, you know, we come up here or whatever, or, you know, taking random pictures. Send you guys on the way up here. My husband's like, there's this truck coming up, you got to take a picture of the sticker that they have on their truck and send it to Brandon. He's gonna love it. So, which he did love it.
You'll hear about that soon, don't worry.
And I hadn't even listened to that. He's just like on the ball. He listens to him like as soon as they're released, he's listening to him. It's hilarious.
But that's nice.
Excuse me, that is rude. I need you to stop doing that. You can be in here if you're not going to be interrupting, but you do not go wave your hand in front of that, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It is nice to have someone that knows us but can be objective. Listen, though. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like, obviously Brayden and I have been together a long time, and then me, you, and Brayden have been friends for a very long time. So often, sometimes I think we can be talking and say things and be like, I hope that came out.
Well, and that's the thing. So there have been a couple of things where, and I do listen to your, like, really big issue ones, like some of the harder topics. I do listen to those. The problem with that is I understand your shorthand.
Yeah. So it's not
sometimes, he's a really good filter because he can go, hey, listen to this. I listened to this and it sounded like this. Why don't you listen to it? And then I can listen with his opinion but also understanding, and then we're able to go, okay, hopefully everybody understood what that was, or maybe it needs to be readdressed in a different way, or, you know, whatever, which luckily we really haven't had that conversation with you guys. Maybe one time, I don't even think
I think there was one thing that Brandon clarified to make sure he was incredibly clear on.
But even then, I still was like, I don't get it. I thought it made perfect sense. So again, that's the reason why, you know, I'm like, well, I'm glad he does, because we're one, right?
Yeah.
It counts. It counts.
You know, and that's what's so cool, though, about this whole journey is I love getting to do this. And for that week, even just being like, I'm not even touching my phone. I felt horrible because I want to give my all to everybody, because I'm so unbelievably humbled that anybody's watching this right now.
Right.
Listening to our podcast, doing Bible study. I mean, any of that.
I still feel guilty for not doing a live.
You should.
Like, it's been brought up a couple of times.
Yeah, you're a horrible person.
By like one or two people, and I'm like, even I feel guilty. Because I'm like, dang it, like we told them we would make it.
Yeah, you know, here she is.
But then YouTube stopped cooperating.
Yeah,
so now they have to figure that out. So I have a little reprieve. You guys, I hate looking at myself.
That's her and Brandon both. You guys, ignore them. I just put a camera on. I'm like, okay, cool story. Come sit on the camera with me. So it was so much, and I feel so bad not being able to give my all to everyone. I want to give my all to every email, every message, every comment, everything, you know, all of the stuff, and then just not feeling good and all of that. And it was just like, I just can't for a few days. I don't even know what I did. No, Ben. I think she put it back where it was. I don't even know what I did for that. Like, I feel like I just, for me, and this is how you'll know, I literally think I spent most of the day in there just sitting in the chair.
Really?
Not all day, because I don't think I could do that. But I literally just...
But you don't even sit down to eat dinner.
No. Yeah, I don't.
This is the longest. These videos and the podcasts, for the length of those things, those are the longest. But even in the podcast, like half the time you're pausing it.
Yeah, I'm
like 30 minutes in, or you're
doing
getting up and doing stuff, or you've got to go check on something really fast, or, you know.
Well, I already said I have the flowers to finish up, and I was like, oh, I can design what we podcast.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't do that. And yeah, it was just, because I would notice, like, all of a sudden it would be dinner time, and I'm like, I'm still just sitting, what have I done?
Yeah. Sometimes you need that.
You know, and I think that was good. And then I read every message that came in, but I felt like I just couldn't respond to it all, because I wanted to give it my everything, and my everything didn't exist for a minute.
So what was Brandon's opinion about all of that?
Brandon was very, Brandon reacts. Right. Like he's the reactor, and so he, I think, initially was very like, this has to be right. I mean, the level of responsibility that he takes all of this.
No. I mean, what was his reaction to you? But here's why I ask. We're very big proponents of trying to tell people this is how marriage is done right, or this is where the gray areas are. But obviously we're human. I definitely have things I struggle with. You have things you struggle with. And I know for you, one of those things is your husband is constantly trying to like, Heidi, just sit down. Heidi, it's okay. You don't have to do this right now. And arguably, correct me if I'm wrong, simply by him going, no, it's good, you need to sit down, you need to take a step back, that should have given you comfort that you didn't need to be worried or concerned about that. And that's why I'm asking,
It was funny because
you don't hand over very easily.
No. Actually, today, before you guys got here, he asked me at least 75 times, what can I do for you so you can sit down?
And you didn't.
What can I do? I was like, no, you don't. I found a couple things. I was like, you just go do that, and I'll do like 17 things over here.
I do that too, though. I get it.
Yeah, it was really hard because he was feeling so sick at the same time. But he very much was, I think, more so that, like, you need to just go process.
Yeah.
Go sit. So when that time would come that I'm like, oh snap, we don't even have dinner. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't care. Yeah. And I'm like, I haven't cleaned anything.
But he's your barometer.
He is.
So.
And he was so like,
It's
fine. Don't care. It's cool. You
yeah.
know, and I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't gotten this. I haven't gotten that. You know, different things. Or he would like tell me something he needed. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I will handle that today. I will be on it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, into the couch, and he's like, no, it's cool.
Which is funny because conversely, interestingly enough, I used to be, and I still can be, very much the same way with my house. I've got an ear in here, you guys. Nobody else can see it, but she's trying to like pull the stud out. I used to be very, gotta do all the things. I did not want my husband's help. He would just do it wrong or not quick enough or whatever. And I still have a little bit of that in me. I still have a little bit of, why don't you go do that one thing over here so I can do these 10 things. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned since I've become more introspective and more willing to take responsibility for, okay, I feel this way, but I can't act this way, you know, kind of learning how to go through that way. I've learned how to go to him on some days. And again, it doesn't happen often, but there are some days where I call him at work and I say, look, this is the day I'm having. What is the one thing that you want me to get done today? Because if I try to sit there and figure out what to do, I will get nothing done. Yeah. I will get so overwhelmed by the amount of things I feel I should do. Yeah. My brain will shut down. I know I've talked about that on another one that we did where if I get overwhelmed, I have a hard time doing anything. So I've learned to, in that way, put that power in my husband's hands for my own benefit.
Tell me.
It's not something that he, in fact, with my medical issues, the one thing I kept saying to all my female friends was, I wish you would just tell me what to do because it would be so much easier.
Tell me to do, I'll do that.
Which is funny because he ultimately did, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that that's really awesome. I think your husband knows you very, very well. You guys have been together for a very long time.
Yeah.
For him to just go, okay, well, she's not going to stop, so I'm going to ask her to do this thing instead. Because you will do that.
And for him, you know, and that's, I feel better. That's how I process by doing things like that. That process is, you know, for me.
It's you.
Oh, you see me in the camera? So can you maybe, is that the Baby Shark song? Can you maybe go do the Baby Shark thing in another room, please? Sorry.
But yeah, so I think, you know, very much in that where, I mean, we had a couple nights where it was time to be putting the kids in bed, and something snapped in I'm losing my marbles brain, and I was like, I need to go garden all of the plants right now.
Oh my gosh.
So I did, and he just stood there so patiently. The kids are losing their minds because it's bedtime.
Yeah.
And I'm out there playing with roses. And he's like, it's okay. Come on, everybody. Outside in our pajamas. Chickens are looking at us like, what are we doing? It's bedtime.
Oh my gosh.
Nope, we're gardening now.
That's funny because that's exactly how it works for me sometimes. It'll be a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
But it won't be totally rational. So I'll like be almost in a panic because I need to scrub the walls.
Yeah.
Or something stupid.
Oh, I planted about half a dozen rose bushes.
Yeah.
Well, I like, somebody said this the other day and I'm stealing it. I have a plant rescue. There's something about clearance aisle plants that just speaks to me. And so I collect them, but then sometimes things that need to get potted or planted outside, I can't get to them right away. So then they kind of collect. And then I'll just snap at 9 o'clock at night when the kids should have gone to bed an hour ago and decided that now is the moment that all of these things must happen.
So I have more like a plant cemetery. I love the plants.
I love them.
They come home with me. They
And
die.
They die.
You know, you told me like 6 years ago you'd come plant stuff for me.
I know. I did.
So
Probably do that. Wait for my next mental breakdown. I'm like, that's it, guys. In the
show up
corner.
at my house at 11 o'clock
What's
at night.
happening? Shut up, Lex. I'm planting stuff.
Oh, good
But
time.
you're such a good friend. You would be like, whatever, I'm going to bed. Heidi's doing stuff in the yard. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm such a good friend. I'd be like, you should take a look at the kitchen.
While you're here.
Here's a sponge. Actually, my kitchen is actually like not bad right now. It's we're going through all of our stuff and minimizing stuff right now. So I'd probably just be like, here's how the boxes are designated.
Have at it. Well, I think that's pretty much where we've been.
Yeah.
You know, getting through that, feeling better. I feel like Brandon and I are seeing clarity in
Do you
the
feel
things.
like you grew?
We did.
The things you went through.
I think a big part of it is because we weren't expecting all of these things. Hey, don't shut the baby, honey. We weren't expecting all of these things. That the fact that ministry-wise things are growing so much, which is great, that I'm thankful for. It's just we didn't go into it with our agenda.
Right.
That's not it. So it's very much just what does God want to see from us? How does He want to use us? And praying over, you know, these different things. And so I feel like we're kind of just being bombarded now with stuff that is just like, oh my gosh, God, are you serious right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are, because it's happening. I mean, I get it, but just wanting to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is, you know, everybody goes through the periods of time. I think everybody needs to know that it's okay as your unit to take a step back for a minute.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're shutting anything down or walking away from anything. Sometimes, especially when you're in a ministry, hey. Sophie's stealing your crackers. Sorry, guys. You know, when you do a ministry, it's so easy to be 24/7, 365.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also run you into the ground. And sometimes you've got to learn, like, there are things that it's okay to say no to.
Yeah.
Or you just don't have time for. But that's where then the weight of responsibility becomes heavy, because then you have to figure out, well, Lord, which one do I address?
Yeah.
Which one do I do? Because I'm physically incapable of doing
You
all of
eating
it.
a rock?
Where? I don't even know, because none of the plants in here have rocks like that.
Oh, no, that one does, because I don't know what else to do with this love rock.
So, you know, I get it. It's my 2-year-old standing on a chair. She dragged over to the counter in your kitchen getting food. Sorry.
I guess it's time for dinner.
Yeah, so let me just wrap up this thought. You know, that's the hardest thing, I think, especially for women, is to understand when to pull back. But then the other thing that is, I think, equally hard for some people to learn is it's okay to pull back from what's going on around you, but you cannot pull back from your marriage.
Yep.
And you cannot pull back from your kids. You can go to your husband and say, look, I know I normally do X, Y, Z with the kids. Can you do it with me or for me?
Sure, yeah.
You can do those things. And hopefully if you have a healthy marriage and the availability, your husband's willing to step up and say, yeah, I'm going to totally do this for you. But it's one thing to say I'm going to be insular with my family right now. And if you encourage a friend to kind of insulate a little bit, make sure you word it like that. Do you and your family need to be insular right now? Do you guys need time for yourself right now? Because you never want to put that message into somebody's head of, do you want to isolate yourself? I know I'm like a huge fan of, I could totally lock myself in my room for the whole day and read a book and feel zero guilt. I'm really bad at that. I mean, I don't do it so much, but like I totally could, but I learned how to do that. I had a husband who was deployed all the time. You learn how to get time for yourself. And so that was something that would be what I would do is I would lock myself in my room, but I would forget that my husband's not deployed anymore.
Yeah.
And he's still there.
Yeah.
And he's still very much what keeps our family going and what keeps me going, and I still need to nurture
isolating yourself.
And you don't want to discourage yourself from going to your husband and saying, hey, here's where I'm struggling.
Yeah.
So often we don't, a lot of times, you guys, where we're struggling is the things that have been driving our husbands nuts. They'll say, you're doing this, or they'll point something out and we get defensive. No, I'm not, blah, blah, blah. And so we don't want to go to them and give them ammunition. But by giving them that information and by saying, hey, here's where I'm struggling, and here's what I need from you, or can you help me figure out what I need from you, it then keeps it from being ammunition. Yeah. Because you're now a unit and you're now dealing with the problem. And then you're encouraging him to come back to you. Or when you go to him and say, hey, what can I do for you? You're then opening that door. And I think that's something in marriage. I find for people I know, that's the hardest issue they have with their spouse.
Yeah.
Is how to be fully vulnerable in those issues. Maybe they're okay crying in front of their husband, but they're not okay saying, I am really struggling getting out of bed in the morning, or I'm really struggling, not spending too much money or staying away from online shopping or whatever. So, that's kind of just an encouragement to be isolated if you need to be. Take a few days, focus on the Lord, but do it with your family.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is so huge, with everything, because we want to serve, we want to do all these things, but not at the sake of losing the family. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
losing control of things.
If you don't have your family where it needs to be, you're not qualified
exactly.
for your ministry.
Exactly.
And that's where so many pastors and so many leaders and
hey, no ma'am.
So many families get it wrong, is that they will have a family that is completely broken. And by the way, I'm not necessarily talking about divorce. I'm talking just about how things are structured and how things work and where the connections are. That disqualifies you. And if you're not willing to be introspective and figure all of that out and straighten all that out.
And I think that was so much of Brandon's point, because I wasn't feeling when all these things were happening. You guys were amazing. The stuff coming in was just phenomenal. We saw the girls' attitudes picking up. We saw just little things here and there, and it was like Brandon was so on that.
Yeah.
He was like, nope, right now, And so thankful for it. We've missed having you guys over.
Yeah.
And I know we have a million things we'd like to do, but I'm really thankful that we had the time to do that. And I'm really thankful now, like, we've got the wedding to do, and we've got Passover, first fruits, unleavened bread, all these things here that we're doing that we're really excited about. Like, this is no. But this whole week, like, all the stuff has been done. Mm-hmm. This whole week now, once we get through with the wedding, no, ma'am. It's like just wide open for us. You know what I mean? Like, we have some doctor's appointments, and Anna, you said, like, so we have a couple, but as far as like those things, like, they're done, and I'm just like, I feel better.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like, Brandon's feeling a little bit, like, things are feeling better.
Yeah.
A lot of things we've been specifically praying for, like, within the past 24 hours, it just appeared out of thin air. And we're just like, okay. I feel you talking to me. All right. We can do this. You know what I mean? Like, looking for it. So, cool how it works with everything your family just went through.
Yeah.
Now things are looking like, okay.
Yeah, we're
going through. Things are looking like, okay. All right, let's move forward.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing.
Yep.
Hopefully now we will get back on some kind of normal track with these things. Yeah,
I hope so. I do miss doing these things. I do miss feeling these conversations, because I truly do feel like these conversations feel different.
Yeah.
When it does feel like we are having them with other people.
Yeah.
And so it is really something special that it does. It kind of feels like, oh, that stinks. We haven't been able to kind of connect.
I know,
So I tried hopping on the lives at least to kind of mess with Brandon a little bit.
Well, but even then, we missed a couple lives,
Yeah.
and then the whole YouTube thing, and
Yeah.
and stuff, and it was just kind of like,
Yeah, so hopefully, at least for the next little bit, we'll get back into the routine. I was able to get some things in my house in order that I hadn't been able to do. I had originally planned on coming up right when I got back from Alabama, and I just realized, like, I walked in my door, and I just had this overwhelming feeling of, but I can't.
Nope.
I have this, and this to do. And there were things I could put aside, but I had been putting those things aside for like months and months and months. Specifically to come up here, and I was like, I'll never forgive myself if I don't at least just get this straightened out here. And I finally have, and we're almost completed, and I'm feeling really good about it. So, and I'm feeling better just about everything in general. So
Which makes such a difference. You have to, but I think the importance being when things are nuts.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with stopping. We have to keep home in order.
Right.
Because if we're not keeping home in order, what are we doing?
Right.
Like, how are you going out and helping anyone else if you can't even keep your home in order?
Right.
That's the whole point. I mean, and everything that all of us do, to stop and it's funny because even Brandon, before spiritually he got to this point, he's always been that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's always been like, honey, you can't go do all those things. Like, we don't even have this taken care of. Like, we have to do this right now. I'm like, Brandon, come on. We just got to go do this, do.
Yeah.
And so, but it does make such a difference. So I'm thankful that, it sucks that we haven't had these videos out, all these things that are wonky and different, whatever, but I'm thankful that we've been able to take this time.
But the people that we have are so amazing and so wonderful and so supportive of everything that it's really been a blessing for me. Simply to know that, okay, there's times where we've said, because there's another time before where we were just like, hey, I think my kid was sick. I couldn't come up. We were going to have nothing. And we were able to just kind of say, hey, life happened. Couldn't get anything out.
Sorry.
And what was awesome is everybody understood.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, well, I'm not following you anymore, or whatever. Or if they did, they weren't anybody that actually.
Willy Wonka. I'm like, no, don't come back.
Oh, stop. No, but really, we have, we have some a really great core group of women here with us that are just so supportive and so willing to kind of go with the flow of life with us and understand that we will be back. Things happen, they're satisfied as long as we're like, hey, this happened.
I've said from day one, if you are looking for super fancy, ridiculously put together, everything looks perfect.
We both have our hair in messy buns right now.
I actually don't know what I look like because we were running errands in like a monsoon storm earlier. We came home. I think my sweater's actually still kind of damp and smells weird now. I've been cooking and doing things like, we started this and I was like, I actually have not looked in a mirror since this morning. I don't know what I look like.
So that's really annoying because I actually did my makeup today. I didn't really care about my hair. I just did my makeup for me. I've been experimenting with different things, but so it wasn't actually for this because I've come on this thing and been like, I thought about it, but I don't care. But it makes me mad because I did my makeup and you look like you did your makeup.
Whatever.
No, but okay. You guys comment after you watch this. She always pretty much looks put together, right? Even when she's like, oh my gosh, I've got to mess with my hair the whole time. You always look really put together. And you always have, by the way. Ever since middle school, I was trying to steal beauty tips from her. It was ridiculous. I actually took one of my school pictures in one of her t-shirts that she wore that was so cool, the slinky shirt. And I would be like, oh, how'd you do that to your hair? Just different things. And so she's always been like that. She is that person, you guys. And it just stinks because she's so awesome, too. So I can't hate her. I kind of want to, but no, I'm kidding. I don't really want to. Anyway, Miss, she thinks she's a mess. But thank you guys so much. The point was,
I don't know what I look like. I actually have not looked at it.
That was my roundabout way of saying you look fantastic as always. This is how I compliment her.
I hope I don't smell.
I can't
You know,
answer
sometimes
that.
like when your
because-
sweater, they get like damp.
Yeah.
And
You're like, no,
I'm like, I hope I don't smell bad.
Okay, so we should probably go make mashed potatoes now.
Yep, we're gonna.
So, thank you guys so much. Thank you for being understanding. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. We look forward to getting some more stuff out there for you. I'm gonna come up sometime next week to record a couple more. I actually thought of a couple of topics while we were recording this. So hopefully we get our queue back in order and get everything together. Because certainly I feel ready. I feel ready to get back. So I guess
I'm ready.
I guess
I'm
that's
excited.
it. So you can close out.
Here's us. Here's where we've been. I think we're gonna go enjoy. All the links to all the things are down in the description box. We're doing the lives on Saturday at noon on Instagram now, unless we cannot do them on YouTube until we have 1,000
Right.
subscribers. Is their new thing, and we've got like half of that, so it's probably gonna be a minute.
So we'll create other email accounts.
Yes. Share it. If you, I've never
Yeah.
tried to get you whatever, but it's like if this is something worthwhile and you feel that it can serve you, then we're happy to do it.
Right.
If not, we'll use something else, whatever. But we're super thankful to have you guys here. Thank you again so much. Lex's blog, literally all the things are linked down there, so you guys can get all of that. And then I started doing daily vlogs again.
Yes.
So whatever that's worth, that's there. The Bible studies are going up every day. We're getting back on track with those, which I'm so excited to do those. We've got more podcasts coming up, all kinds of things. So I'm definitely excited to see kind of going forward the things that God kind of will lead us to, doing. So thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. We really do appreciate it. If there's anything at all that we can lift up in prayer, that we can do, anything, just message us and let us know. But otherwise, we will see you next Saturday.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. I'll make it happen. Even if I have to phone call.
It will be
Call
on you.
in. She'll have to hold it on speaker.